I know firsthand that obedience isn't always glamorous. It cost me comfort, control, and certainty because I went through a lot of trials from being obedient. The warfare was real from being obedient, but it also gave me clarity, it gave me purpose, and a front row seat to God's faithfulness. I realized then and there that God was asking me for complete submission and complete sacrifice. And I said yes. Remember, obedience is the new success, and your story is proof.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Called and Courageous podcast. That's right. Love being here. My name is Rory Paquette, and I am your guest host today. I'm so blessed to be able to sit in and assist your permanent host and founder of this podcast, as well as the founder of our sponsor today, the one and only publishing, and that is Meme Mulugeta. She is also, on top of all that, our guest today. So let's welcome Meme into the studio. Meme, how are you doing today?
I am doing well. How are you, Rory?
Oh, better than I deserve, but having a great time being here. Thank you for letting me sit in your seat. It's like really comfortable over here.
I love it. I like being on this side sometimes.
Now, tell the truth. You're over there. You got your feet up, probably. You got a cold beverage off to the side, and you're just
Yeah, I
relaxing,
do.
aren't you? You're like, let this guy do
Absolutely.
the work. I love it.
Yeah,
I love
that's
it.
exactly what it is.
You know, you've earned that because you do so much. You're putting this podcast out, and you're running a publishing company basically by yourself, which is fantastic. What you're doing, you're all over social media. I can't go through my Facebook feed without seeing you or your company or something else because you guys are everywhere, and I love what you're doing. This really has captured your heart after celebrating your 1 year anniversary, hasn't it?
Yeah, and I want to make sure everyone knows I'm not by myself. I actually now have a partner. So I don't want her to hear this and be like, "What do you mean you're by yourself?" Not by myself. And we have a team, obviously, a very amazing team that helps us build books. So I want to give a shout out to them.
Got it. All right. Well, partner and team. She didn't tell me she was alone. I assumed. So that's on me.
Yeah,
That's
it's all
totally on me.
good.
That's
It's
right.
all
And you
good.
have mentioned your team, before
Yeah.
too. So that's my fault. But again, I love what you're doing. Your podcast is all about, obedience and, being successful and connecting with the Lord. Everything that you do is in service of the Lord. Um, I know you've talked about this a million times, but you were called to do all of this, weren't you?
Yes, absolutely.
Yes.
I
So this
wouldn't
is
be
all
doing
coming
it.
from that place of faith and obedience yourself.
That's right.
Love it.
Yes.
Absolutely love it. The let me talk about obedience for a second because, uh, in short, again, because I know you did an entire episode on it, but the reason that obedience is so important to you, it comes from your own personal experience, and that's one of the reasons why you did the podcast about it, and it kind of works into our topic for today. Um, how did the idea of being obedient come to you?
Being obedient, creating the podcast of
Hmm.
obedience you're referring to.
Yes.
Honestly, it came from the Lord. I was struggling with my own obedience journey because I had this grandiose idea that when you're obedient to the Lord, He's going to make everything work out and it's going to be some roses and some daffodils that you get to run through and it feels amazing. And that wasn't the case. And I just went down a rabbit hole. What is obedience? What is that? What do people experience? Why aren't people open and willing to be obedient? And then the Lord told me to start a podcast and he said, make it about obedience. And I was like, okay, I'll be obedient in that. Well, I'll say this after I think I'm on my 27th episode.
Yeah.
Um, I understand obedience a lot better.
You're doing great with it, by the way. So you have been absolutely obedient. I know this has all been part of your own journey, and in a lot of ways, your own healing journey with just everything you've been through in your life. But one of the things that has come up in conversations has been people who want to write books. We've discussed in previous episodes. People have a book inside them. They have people that they want to serve. They have a way that they want to help, sort of put their mark out in the world. But a lot of people get caught up, and maybe it's imposter syndrome, maybe it's just a lack of self worth. But we tend to think, Well, I still have problems with this. I'm not really healed on this topic that I really want to write about. So, do I need to be totally healed from this before I can write? And I think that's a question I'd love to get an answer to. Is that is it legitimate for me to start writing about a topic if I feel like I'm still kind of going through the healing process on that topic?
All right, before we dive back in, I want to pause for just a moment and speak to the author in you. That book on your heart isn't just an idea, it's an assignment. God didn't give you that story, that message, that testimony for it to stay locked inside of you. Someone is waiting for your obedience and your words. I'm here to walk with you step by step to bring it from vision to published reality. So don't wait for the perfect time because the time is now. Let's be obedient together. Visit the one and only publishing.com and let's write your book. Now let's get back to the conversation. Yeah, I think people misconstrued writing with publishing, right?
Hmm.
Do I think that you should publish your book when you're still in that healing phase? Absolutely not. But do I think that you should start writing about what you're going through and really documenting your current state and experience? 110%. I think writing in the midst of your pain is like a person telling you a story, Rory, and then you go and tell me the story of that person, that what that person said. And then I go to someone else and tell the same thing that Rory heard from the person that spoke to him. It's like playing telephone. You cannot it's a completely different impact when you're writing in the midst of it than when you're writing once you've gone through it. So, good example is this. Before I wrote my first book, one of the things that the Lord told me to write about were things that happened within my first year of giving my life to the Lord. And I was an avid journal, like I journaled a lot, only because I had trouble praying to the Lord out loud. Like, I had this idea that I had to pray in a specific type of way or, and I just couldn't get it out the way I felt like the Lord would hear me. So instead I wrote it. And so I have journals, 3, 4, 5, 6 journals from that 1 year of everything I was going through, all the pain I was experiencing, all the frustration, all my prayers were in those journals. So when God told me to write my first book, which was helping new believers get closer to the Lord, I was easily able to go to my journals and remember what pain and what frustration and what discouragement I felt during that time. And I was able to notate that in my book because I promise you, if you had asked me to do it from memory, I could not describe it the same way. It would not be as powerful. And then, you know what's crazy, Rory? How amazing is it? Like even when you told me your testimony, Rory, like you were very emotional about it, like, but being able to recall your past and then coming back and realizing where you are now, it's like a huge testament. And you were able to remember those details. But people who have gone through something 20 years ago or 10 years ago and they're recalling it, they may not have that attachment to that experience anymore, but they at least have something documented to remember where they came from. And it's such a blessing to see where God has taken you, so documenting it and writing it is so important in the moment.
That's so powerful. The book, the writing of the book, is this multifaceted tool. Then, because it helps you write the book as you progress and as you put it together, but it also helps you continue to work through the healing process of it at the same time.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I know that for myself, when I used to journal, I opened up my eyes to the things that I had not confronted. You know what I mean? Writing it down and being able to see it flat in my face, it made me realize, oh my goodness, this is an area that haven't surrendered to the Lord, or this is an area that I didn't even know this was in me. So it helps you expose the areas that you kind of hide away from yourself and you ignore or you distract yourself from. But in addition to that, it's a great way for you to confront the things that you're scared to confront. And when you're able to confront it, that's where the healing comes. You can't change what you don't confront, and you can't confront what you do not know. So, writing is a wonderful tool to be able to help you with that.
That's just amazing. That is amazing. This process of going through and writing the book, I know that you folks over at the One and Only Publishing, you guys get involved very early in the process. Um, this seems like a whole different way to look at the process, in terms of writing through it and everything else. Is that something that you work with people on, counsel people on, maybe even disciple people through when they're, trying to kind of do that sort of work?
Yeah, especially for people who do not. I've been encountering a lot of people who don't like writing.
Mhm.
They just, but they know they're supposed to write a book and they're still in the process of healing. So I'll meet with them once a week, sometimes once every 2 weeks or something, and we'll talk about first and foremost what they want in their book, and then I ask them to at least voice record what you're feeling, at least voice record what you're going through in this moment. Let's at least notate it. Physically writing and creating that written word may not be your jam, right? It may not be something you like to do, but you have a message, you've been called to something. Let's start using our tools. Let's at least record ourselves speaking. And that's what I really direct people to. And they'll send me their recordings. I'll listen to it and I'm like, man, this is heavy. You're going through a lot. And would I want to put everything that you've said in that book? Probably not, not without a solution, right? We want to give people hope. But at the bare minimum, it allows them to be able to see what the current state they're in, and it gives them the ability to surrender it to the Lord. And that's what we always turn back to. Like, yes, you've gone through this, and I'm so sorry you experienced this, and I'm so sorry you're healing from this. But let's recognize how God has sustained you and taken care of you, and really showing them that there's more to their current state. So yeah, I absolutely, that's a ministry to me. That's not business, that's a
Right.
ministry.
Nice. And I know that that's kind of how you run things,
Yeah.
is in that fashion. I love that. Um, I guess I've heard it said that you can use writing as a great way to get closer to God and to kind of, open yourself up to the feeling and the thinking and, the possibilities. Is that something that you've heard? And, what's your thoughts on that?
Absolutely. I've heard it on numerous occasions from people who were one against writing, and I'm like, just try it. Just see what it does. Just try it. And they'll start writing and then they can't put their pen down. Um, because sometimes when there's this thing where you can just write without thinking. Just write whatever comes to mind. And it may seem like gibberish when the first 5, 10 sentences, but if you keep writing, you'll start seeing things that you didn't even know was inside of you. It's sort of like your subconscious is writing it for you. And if you reread it, sometimes I had an author tell me, I swear God was speaking to me through my writing and I didn't even know it until I reread what I wrote. And God was telling me who I was to him, you know
Yes.
and she was like, I was crying, it completely wrecked me, and I've heard that story so many times. So if you want to be able to, this can be a definite route. I don't say it's the only route, but it's a definite route for you to be able to really cultivate that relationship with the Lord, because you might be like me, weird about praying out loud, and you might be new at this, and writing is a great way to get you there.
Wow. That's a pretty big admission. I didn't know that you were weird about praying out loud.
Oh God, so weird.
Really?
I didn't want to pray in front of people. I didn't want to pray out loud in my own room by myself. Like I would pray, you know how you could pray in your heart?
Hmm.
Like I was a prayer warrior in my heart.
Nice.
But out loud, oh my gosh, I would be sweating. If someone told me to pray out loud, I would be so scared to pray out loud. And I just I was so self-conscious, and it had nothing to do, like, praying has nothing to do with you, like, and it took me a whole year to figure that out for myself. Like, okay, who cares what you say as long as it's genuine and authentic and from the heart. But it took me a long time to figure that out. So yeah, you're like, who's gonna pray today? I would definitely eyes down, not looking at you. Like, and if you ask me, I'll be like, no, I'm good.
I love that. I love that you're sharing that too. I mean, that's so
Yes.
open and honest with everybody. And folks, that is what you get with Meme Mulugeta and the one and only publishing right there. I mean, you can't serve that up better. You get absolute open and honest communication and help with your journey. Mimi, how can folks who are going through this process, who are trying to heal, and who are maybe even struggling to connect with God, how can they get a hold of you and start walking down the path that they so desperately want to be on?
Yeah, you could definitely also email me directly. I'm very open to that as well. It's just Meme, Meme, at the one and only publishing.com. Or you could reach out directly to the company, the one and only publishing.com, and all of our social medias as well. You could DM us.
Nice, nice. All right. Thank you for being here as a guest on your show that you're the host of, that I get to be the special guest host on. Folks, this has been the Called and Courageous podcast, and it's brought to you by Meme Mulugeta, founder of the one and only publishing. Folks, if you have a book inside of you, this is the place to be. This is the place to go. If you're struggling and you're trying to heal through some things, writing can take you there. Writing can help you, and these folks here can help you do that. Look them up, check them out. Folks, thank you for joining us today for the Called and the Courageous podcast. Please remember, obedience is the true measure of success, and your life is proof.